Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today's date is October 1st, 2015, and I am here with Shelton to do an interview.
Hello.
Hello, Shelton. How are you doing, my friend?
Pretty good. Just dancing around, trying not to fall asleep. Yeah.
All right. So we will take it away, and this is a story about Shelton.
Yes.
So
Now, if
Shelton,
you open your books to page 143, you'll see. The glasses are like librarian mode.
cool.
Like, I want to quote stuff. But yeah. Anyway.
Yes. Tell us about who Shelton is, where you started, your fondest memories of long ago when you were first growing up. Go back to like when you were really young.
Okay. Well, in the present, my name's Sheldon Bird. I come from the Hidatsa and Blackfeet tribes mainly, but I'm also just a bunch of other ones that I don't even know. So there's that. My family is very musical and artistic, so I grew up around that like all the time. And so, yeah, my mom's a performer, and so when I was young, I was on stage since I was 2. Like,
Wow.
she would bring me up on stage, she would like have me say stuff into the mic, and like, this one time she was asking me something, and I said into the mic, "I got to go pee pee," and like everyone just started laughing. Like, I really had to pee. Like, I don't remember, but I knew I did. And so, yeah, I've been on stage like since I was 2. Ended up going to Budapest with my mom like when I was 2 as well. My brother was kind of jealous about that.
Is this your younger, older brother?
Oh yeah, I have an older brother. I actually have 2 older sisters and an older brother. I'm the baby. Yeah. So, yeah. My brother is a very, very important part of who I am today. Like, for a while, we were pretty much the same person in 2 different bodies. Like, we weren't. It's hard to explain, but yeah, we were just totally into the same things, except he was more into like dinosaurs. I was more into cars, and so it was just like, we got along so well, and like people were like, "Oh wow, it's so nice that excuse me." Like, me and my brother, we just fight all the time. How can you guys like get along? We're like, oh, we fight, but it's in debate form. Like, we just like debate like on things instead of like, oh, no. Yeah. So, anyway, so yeah, changing the energy a bit. I don't fully know to this day why it happened, but my mom and my dad got divorced around when I was like, I think 7. And so that like just kind of brought everything into like a more perspective. Like, I was always spacing out. I was always like in my imagination, I would draw a lot. I'd imagine full movies in my head, full like video games to play. And so yeah, the divorce happened. My brother knew what happened. I don't. But like, I made peace with that, and I will find out. He and I are talking. Me and my dad are talking now, so like it's all good.
Yes.
But so anyway,
growing up, were you closer to your mother or your father when you were real young?
I'd say it's about, putting numbers to it, 55% my mom, 45% my dad. It was very equal, but I felt a strong connection with both of them.
Yes.
In different ways. So like with my dad, he would like he made like really cool little paper airplanes, like ones that you could fold the wings in and out. Like, it still blows my mind to
really
this day.
precise. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I don't remember very much about him, but I think he was like, you know, really smart. And so, yeah.
Your grandparents, did they play an important role in growing up?
Oh,
You
yes,
travel.
very, very important. Um, my grandma is Joanne Bird. She's a world famous painter, artist, sculptor, and does other stuff too that she doesn't want me to mention.
Sure.
And my grandpa's a musician. Um, he had a band in the '60s called Gordon Bird and the Stingrays. There's lots of technicalities with the name because like there was this offshoot group also called like there's the actual original Stingrays and then there was an extra one and they called themselves the original Stingrays when they weren't. And so like now when they have like their Facebook page and like there's like this time where like every week it just changed the name of like what the group was called. So it's just like, oh my God, it's just so unneededly complex. But anyway, so he's musician, had lots and lots of road experience. Like he played bars for like months straight. And
Wow.
like, yeah, so yeah, he grew up in the '60s, like during that era.
Were you as a young age? You said you were on the road a lot then, or like on the weekends? Was it through the week when you guys were in school also trying to do both?
Yeah, I left school a lot because I had to perform, and plus I didn't like being there. I like performing better. And so like, in music class in elementary school, they'd be like, sing way up here, make it sound all smooth, something like that. And I was just like, but I want to sing the way I want to, the way I've been taught. And like, they'd ask me to demonstrate something and then I demonstrated, they're like, oh, that's really good. And then like in my head, I'd think, because I'm doing it the way I want to, not the way you want me to do it. So I was pretty rebellious throughout my school days. And so like, I guess now we're on the topic of school.
Yes. Especially like go back to your elementary school years. Which were more challenging, your elementary school years or junior high?
That's tough to think about, not because it was traumatic, but because like I pretty much have two different lives when I think back to there. Like there's my life, my real life outside of school, and then there's my life in school, which is really narrow, just kind of like not as memorable as my life outside of school. So
Okay.
like, when I say, oh yeah, sometime around like fifth grade, but I don't know how old I was, so I had to like think back. Okay, I was like this old, blah blah blah.
Right, right.
So it's like I never think back to my elementary school days unless like something triggers a memory.
Okay. How about
Like,
the spiritual side of you? Where did that come into play?
ooh, okay. Well, interesting story. When I was a newborn, my mom was like, I don't know the timeline after I was born, but I was a newborn. I was sleeping in the crib next to her, and I think it was in the crib. I don't know. Anyway, I was sleeping, and she was like super depressed, like in a really dark place, and like she was just like going to sleep, and then she heard like drums pounding really hard, like except drums, and like there are these grandfathers singing the song. Let's see if I remember it. Hey ya hey ya hey ya hey, see that the key, that the key, hey ya hey ya hey ya. Like it was just like really intense, and like they did that to generate lots of energy, like to get her going and stuff.
Yes.
And like in Hidatsa, Zita Taki means white deer, and so I went through the naming ceremony when I was like 3 or 5, I forgot, but
Do you remember that? Bits and pieces of that, the ceremony?
bits and pieces. I remember there was sage, there was like some kind of fan, like an eagle fan,
When you
and
got older and you've seen these different types of ceremonies, can you describe what's the initiation? How do they do that? What's the process?
Okay, so like, well, with naming, like,
Yes.
it's not just, okay, well, you're going to be called this. It's like the spirits want you to be known as this because that's what they call you. So it's like the name Zitatiki came way early for me. So like people usually get it like right before their ceremony or like way later in their lives. But I got mine really early. So it was like I feel special. But anyway, so like I had to it involved lifting your hands up, spinning clockwise for like 3 times, I think. And like during that they were like fanning you up and down and like it was very spiritual. There's lots of prayer going on and I forgot a lot of other details. I did it outside of this house actually, the one I
Um,
live in now, which is
yes,
cool.
with the Native American, do they have the full? Is it the full ceremony? Do they have the headdress and everything?
There's lots.
Okay.
The common one that most people are familiar with is called well they call it a powwow, but it's actually called wachipi. It's a wachipi. It's a celebration of people gathering, and that's where there's a circle. They have the warriors, the veterans. They honor them in the beginning and the end. They're the first to go in and out of the circle, and then there are people who are dressed in the really cool regalia.
Yeah, seen some of that. It's beautiful.
Sorry, I just threw my phone. It rang. Anyway,
Okay.
so my mom designs those regalia stuff. That's how she started, and so
And this
yeah,
was passed on from generation to generation, from your grandparents and on. You know what I mean? Down to your mom and dad and on. You know what I mean? Is it?
like
Is it
the
generation?
craft.
Yes, and that stuff. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And so it's different for every person though, because not everyone in my family is like musical or artistic. Some of them are into money, some of them are into like other stuff.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, anyway, about the powwow. There's a circle, you dance clockwise, and you know, you like really get into the beat and like you're what I realize now is when you go in the clockwise formation, everyone with the intent of expressing themselves through dance, that creates a like spiral of
Oh,
energy.
yes.
And so like, you know, it's a ceremony. Like people are like, oh, you don't have to be serious. You only have to be serious during sun dances. And I'm like, that's just powwows are a sacred thing. Like you should be respectful there. So it's like, well, since I mentioned it, the Sundance is wow, those are awesome. So
Yes.
the Sundance is similar to a powwow in a way. Um, there's lodges where a group of dancers come sing, or they dance and pray for like 4 days straight. They have to fast, no eating or drinking. They do get little bits and pieces just to keep them going. Then yeah, they have singers that sing for like 4 days. It's not like 24/7. It's just like from 6 a.m. to like 5. It's like 10 hours. And then after that, they go pray and gather and all that stuff. And so what happens there, there's a cottonwood tree in the middle of the circle. It's another circle ceremony. And the cottonwood tree has like a bunch of, they're like prayer flags.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know why I couldn't find that word, but anyway, they have like tobacco in it. There's this thing called flesh offerings where like you like get a needle, take a tiny little bit of flesh out. As you do that, you pray for like someone, and then it goes to the center, which is like the altar kind of in a way.
Oh,
There's
yes.
a, there's so much to a Sundance that I can't sufficiently say, but I got to sing at one, and like I went there super depressed, like it was really bad, and then after I sang for like a couple hours, like I noticed like the symbology of singing like in a circle, like in a drum.
Mhm.
Like you each have your own drumstick. Like each of them was different, of course. Like everyone
Oh,
had their own drumstick. They brought their own, and everyone had different voices, but they're all singing the same things, playing the same beat on the same drum, part of the same sound, same energy. So it's like
it's overlapping.
Yeah, like I heard myself sing like over people, like my voice stuck out like to me. I heard it, I was like, oh my God, that's me. And like it was just so emotional because I was so detached from myself at the time. And I got to understand who I was, and I was like, oh my God, like I really care about myself now. And so like I stayed there like the next 3 days. No, next 2 days. My voice got like so messed up though. Because like towards the end I finally learned all their songs because I didn't know any songs when I first went there. But it's like it's a circular song. So like after a few rounds you understand what it means. But so yeah, like there are a few times where I got so into it that like the keeper of the drum, it's not really like the leader, but he keeps the drum, so like has that authority. He like told me to like settle down because like it's like, whoa, horsey, settle down. Like, you know, they're just getting so into it. Like,
From all the people around that come there, is it just one certain group, or is it from many different types of, how would you say it, tribes, or from all over that come together?
um, it's become a lot more accepting now
Okay.
because it's not like, you know, back in the days of like, you know, the old 1800s suppression,
Right.
like they had to keep it secret. They had to be really exclusive about it. And now that those laws are gone for the most part, yeah, it's becoming more acceptable, more open.
Yeah.
Like people travel. It tends to be local people just because it's close, but Sundance season, like there are a bunch going on. So like, yeah, the one I went to, it was in Pipestone, Minnesota. It was American Indian movement, which, you know, the message there is a lot different than it was in the 70s. I'll just put that out there. It's a lot. It's not about rights for Native people. It's right for all indigenous people in the world, the whole world. So it's not just America, Native America. It's the whole world. Indigenous people were the ones who had the connection with nature and, you know, star people. So it's like we should give them the respect that they deserve, and you know, karma needs to come back because like through all that like rocks, like, you know, enough heat and pressure kept the diamond alive. Like it's preserved, and now we get to bring it back and integrate it. So that's part of what I want to be a part of, is not a native centric message of hope, but a world sense of hope. Because like if we are to understand that we are being suppressed, we need to understand that we let them suppress us for a reason, and that reason is usually our own self-doubt and fear. And if we can like get to know ourselves like within, get to really like embrace and love ourselves, then we can be fearless. We can understand that we have limitless power, and we can, you know, sky is not the limit. What you decide the limit is the limit.
Yes. Yes.
So I forgot what we were talking about. Just
We
kind of
were,
got into.
no, it's wonderful. You're talking about the ceremony and how the sun dance.
Okay,
It's
Sundance.
beautiful.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So I was gonna dance in it this year, but I learned this year that I am best for tones. Like I grew up singing, so like I have pretty good control of my voice. I won't brag about it because there are times when it's really bad. But so like my thing is with my voice, and so now that I mentioned my voice, I'm kind of paying attention to it, so I'm gonna talk differently. But yeah, it's about my voice. Like,
Sounds manly.
yeah.
It's cool, man. It's awesome.
But yeah,
But
it's
those, yes, go ahead.
oh yeah, it's not all the way about my voice. It's about like the music you make counts as your voice. The words you write counts as your voice. The movements you do projected outward to people are your voice. Like me dancing earlier, that's something I say. Like, you know, I do that stuff sometimes. And
And it's
so,
yeah, it's good to get the blood pumping too. You know, it's just to
yeah.
loosen the body up and stuff. So yeah, I understand that.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's I'm starting to realize a lot more now that everything is like music, literally. Like you hear some people say that, oh, music is life, blah blah blah, and you think, oh yeah, they're just really into music. They listen to it a lot. But I believe everything is a form of tone, which is a form of light. And so like this could go different directions, but for now I'll say that music is the way I express myself more than my words ever have, because I've been doing it longer than I've been talking outwardly. Because I've been pretty quiet throughout my early years, and now I'm finally talking. My throat's getting all cleared out, and
Yeah,
you know,
it
exploding into
feels.
everyone. That's a weird visual. I'm sorry, viewers.
No, it feels. I was gonna say it probably feels good for like being able to release like that. You know.
Yeah,
Being,
because
yeah.
I learned that I have a lot that I had to get out,
Yes.
and that includes being weird and not worrying about it.
Yeah, it's like just getting out of the mind and just going for it. You know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I,
and like that's one thing I learned about trusting myself. Like if you look like an idiot, it's because the people who are looking at you think you're an idiot. It's not because you're actually an idiot. So like if you like what you do, then do it. If you think other people won't like it, but you
why?
do,
Right.
yeah, like
Why do it?
mhm.
I mean,
So did I forget anything about the Sundance? It was cool. I stayed off my phone.
is there one big like a bonfire? Is
Yeah,
it
yes,
small?
yes, yes.
Yeah, explain the fire. Why the fire? The symbolization, or the symbol. Why that's so important? Why the fire?
Okay, so the Sundance, it incorporates all elements. So obviously the earth. Well, okay, rudimentary thing. The main colors that you see associated with Native Americans, like the medicine wheel, it's let's see if I get this in the right order. It's well, there's red, then there's white. Well, okay, I'll say it out of order so I don't like
Sure.
no one. Okay, there's white, yellow, black, and red. I don't know if it's in that order, but anyway. And then there are the secondary colors of green and blue. Green represents the earth, blue represents the sky. And
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, so the earth, like they dance on the earth, like it's, I wouldn't say worship of the earth, but intense gratitude for the earth is what goes on so much in native cultures. So that's earth.
Do they in the culture, your culture, do they call it Mother Earth or Gaia or
Yes,
what do you call it? Okay,
Ushi Maka,
Ushi.
grandmother earth.
Is that how you say
Ushi,
it? Ushi?
it's Unchi.
Unchi.
But it's like the N and the sh, that kind of mix, so it's like Unshi.
Unchi. Okay.
Like I know what you're saying, so like that's why. And then Maka, that means earth, so it's grandmother earth. And there
Oh,
are other terms for it, but yeah. So anyway, that's the earth. And then water. There are sweat lodges there, which are just like wood that makes a dome shape. You put like a bunch of, well, they used to be buffalo robes, but now they use like army tarps over it. And there's like a circle in the middle that's dug out, and there's a fire outside. And in that fire, you put like these rocks, and you let them burn until they get red. And then you use like a pitchfork, and you bring them to the center of the circle. Everyone sits around the circle, close the door, and they pour water on it, creates steam, and you pray, sing, all that stuff.
wow.
And yeah, you leave like after a few rounds, then you go back in for like 3 rounds, and those are really cool. I recommend anyone, if they're running the sweat lodge in a good way, I'd recommend going there. There's some people who like do it, like they get high in there and it's just like, you're not doing it right. Like, sure,
What
yeah.
could it is a sweat lodge kind of compared to, I guess the closest thing I can compare it to, is it like a sauna where it's really warm in there?
It's, yeah, actually, we have a sauna here that we used to sing a lot in, have our sweat lodges.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So so yeah, that incorporates the water and the fire and the earth and the air. Wow.
Yeah, you got all the.
It's a
I see.
combo.
It comes from the air, grounded. Yeah, it's grounded and it goes up into the air. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
awesome.
then you sing and that's air too. And breathing, of course, it's air.
Yes.
So yeah, they have sweat lodges. There's a male one and a female one. That's for the energetic mixing.
Yes. Yes.
Like, it's not sexism, it's energy.
Right.
Just want to put that out there. And so, yeah, they have the sweat lodge. The fire represents, to me, like I haven't got not a lot of traditional training. I just kind of figured a lot of this out. But the fire is like a transportation to higher realms, higher dimensions. So like, if you write down what you want to release on a piece of paper and you burn it, that's like sending your prayer up, and then it's more likely to be answered.
I see.
Yeah, so it's a belief system that we exercise.
Okay. Now, have you been? That was the sun dance. Is there another? Is there something that's just as powerful, similar to that? To the sun dance? Is there another type of dance?
The only thing I can think of right now is just a plain old sweat, like sweat.
Okay.
Like, that happens. Oh, there is one. I don't know what it's called, but
it's not like a power dance, is it? Or I'll say something with power. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know what people call it, but
yeah,
pretty much what happens. People like gather like in someone's basement, cover every single light thing that they can see, like even like those efficient light bulbs. Like,
yeah,
I have one like this. When they go off, they still kind of glow.
Mm-hmm.
Like I covered that because it's still light. I could see it.
So it's pitch black in there.
Super pitch black, yes.
Wow.
And so like before that, there's like meals. No, you don't eat before it, but everyone like drinks the water, and like there's certain ceremonial stuff.
Yes.
And like, so anyway, everyone sits down, pitch black, and there's a main person. I think this is the main person that has the healing, or they channel or something. And I forgot a lot of details. I want to experience this again. It's gonna happen to me soon, so yeah, it'll be good. But anyway, there's a main person. They end up getting wrapped in blankets and set down on the floor, and there are people singing during this. Like, everyone who can know the words do sing along too, and so
so the person that's wrapped up is getting like a healing.
yeah, and in turn, everyone in the room that's present also gets a healing, including the singers.
Wow.
And yeah, it's awesome. And so anyway, they start singing. They have these rattles that when you shake them, they like generate like really, really dim light. So like I saw those moving around. And then like as it got more into it, like more like really real spirits came into there. Like there was this bird spirit that came in there, and like they did this whistle language thing, and then like they just like kind of went along with the beat, like on the offbeat. Like, people who know drum music understand, but
are they? Do they also do drumming in there, or is it something?
Yeah. They have hand drums. Like, there are one or two singers who like sing with the hand drum. I think in some of them they do have like a circle of drummers, but I'm guessing with the dark, like it's best to like have your own local area to worry about, and not everyone else.
Right, right.
But anyway, after a few songs, like the person who's like wrapped up, well, like they dance during the song. They get up, the spirit comes through them, and they dance. And then they end up like back on the floor, and then like a spirit channels through them. Like I now realize that they're channeling. Like there's spirits have a good sense of humor. They're so funny. And so like yeah. And I forgot what else happens. After that happens, there's like smudging, like a chanupa is passed around.
Mhm.
A chanupa is a peace pipe.
Yes.
Yeah, for the viewers. Anyway, so we go around, and then there's a feast, and this is the controversial part. It's important for this ceremony that you have like a soup that's made of a puppy that is from the family.
Okay.
And so it's like I've had that before, and it was weird because I had my my school thoughts, my
Sure.
system thoughts, where it was like, oh my god, like this dog was so cute. But like from the sacred standpoint, it's like
Yes.
I understand why it's needed. Like it's all energy. So
Right.
yeah, I really forgot what else happens with that ceremony. So
No, have you been? When did you first hear about that, or were you involved in that directly?
yeah, me, my mom, my brother were in the group of people sitting around in the room.
Was this
I've
when
been
you
to
were really
these before.
younger, or was this when you were younger, or like most recent years?
I'd say I was about 11 first time and like 13 the second time.
Wow.
Like I have a hard time remembering my own past. So yeah, that's what I get for living in the moment.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So now take me a little bit forward. So these dances, they're sacred. They mean a lot. It's um, the culture. It's very connected to Earth and Gaia. Um, Tell me of where grandfather comes in. What is it about grandfather? Is it so we have Mother Gaia, Earth, and then grandfather. What is grandfather to you? What does it
Okay.
mean to you? Yes.
All right. So the way that I've been taught to start prayers is you say Takashla Wakantanka, which means grandfather's great mystery, which to me means spirit guides, star brothers and sisters, um, you know,
So
stuff that guide me,
yes,
those that guide me, ancestors. And great mystery means the source of all things, what some people call God.
yes.
That's what Takashla, wait, no, Wakantanka is. It makes those wrong.
Okay.
So, yeah, so, yeah, that's how prayers are started. So,
And are the prayers? Is it mostly toward the ancestors first?
it depends who's praying because with the influence of the church, the way people pray is different.
Mhm.
So, like, some people influence. Wait, what am I trying to say? Some people use those formulas in their prayer, and some people do the total traditional, and some people invent their own things, like I do. Like I mix all those together.
Are you
Like,
seeing that more and more? The newer generations, do you see them coming in and starting to mix things a little bit more?
yes, that is a common theme throughout the whole world in many different areas. Like
Yes.
everything's becoming one again, and that's awesome. So, what I usually do during prayer, and I recommend doing this, of course. Well, like some people like do this, some people like do that, some people like totally,
Yes.
surrender God. Yeah. I personally, I do this. I call it my pray gun, and
Yes.
it was something I was taught. It's kind of a long story, but anyway, I was taught it, and I always start with gratitude. I was taught that always start with gratitude, and some people when they pray, they're like, God, please save me, please, help my friend out, stuff like that. Which it's not bad. Nothing's really bad or good. It's definitions, but it's more beneficial to be grateful for what you have first and foremost, and then ask, okay, now that we both understand that I'm grateful for what I have and what I've experienced, I'm looking to give this into my life. I'm wishing to have this experience for this reason, out of curiosity or exploration or something, not out of ego desire or self-gratification or stuff like that. So I don't have a formula. Every pair is different, of course, but it's just like, at first it was an obligation because of the influence of church. And now I realize that every thought you have is a prayer. And so when you actually have the act of praying, that's just like amplifying your thoughts, pretty much.
And I also
So
like your hand position again. You show me the hand position from the side again. It's almost like it's a focus, you know?
yeah,
It's like
yeah, that's the idea. Um, yeah, yeah, it is. That is the idea. My energy flows through my hands, especially like in this area.
yes.
And when I channel music, like it pretty much like comes through me through my yellow, and like, I become the music, and then I come back here and I'm like, okay, if I do this, it becomes more like what I had in my head. And then like I hear the new version of what I actually made, and then I enter that zone again, and I'm like, okay, so this is where it could go. And like, it's just this fun process. And I've been doing it since could remember.
And the instruments that you play, can you share with the listeners? What is it, the viewers? What is the instruments that you play? The different types.
Okay. So we're getting back to Sheldon.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I grew up singing. So voice was my first instrument. But then when I was 7, oh, this is another story. So when I was 7, my grandpa taught me how to play drums because he plays guitar, and like he didn't want to play it to a soundtrack. He wanted to teach me how to play drums.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned how to play drums slowly but surely. Yeah, surely. I was questioning that word.
Did it take you a while to get the beat down or the
Yeah,
rhythm?
yeah. Like my grandpa, he was kind of strict in a way, but like at first it was like, just had to deal with it. And now I realize, like, he told us this a long time ago too, like it's only hard at first, and afterwards you can have a lot of fun with it. And that was so true. Like now that I know what I'm doing, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to like worry about anything. I just let whatever come through. So yeah, so I learned how to play drums. My brother learned how to play guitar. One of my cousins, I have 3 cousins, and 2 of them sang. My male cousin, he played bass, and my grandpa played guitar, and we formed this band. We were called the Little Bird Band because we were little. Our last name was Bird. We were band.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
For a while, we were called the Little Bird Blues Band, but then we realized like we don't play just blues. So, yeah, that happened for like 4 years. I don't know, for a while. Like I was, I think 10 when I started. Ended when I was like in 8th grade. So I think that was when I was 14. Yeah. So 4 years. I'm going with that.
Okay.
That was a very, very good experience. Not only with playing music all the time, but like, being prompt, like staying true to your word, like getting through with what you need to do because it has to be done, like setting up, unloading equipment.
Right. So that whole atmosphere. Did you like traveling a lot too?
Yes, I grew up traveling. I traveled, performed with my mom. Me and my brother would sing and help her, like, take all the hoops, take all the whatever. And yeah, and then we eventually kind of merged into the little bird band, with once in a while doing a performance with her, except my brother knew guitar, and like we my brother was helping this one man out, help tear down a arts festival stand thing.
Hmm.
And as a way to thank him, he gave him like this little, like, well, it's actually like this big, like a box drum that you sit on and you play the sides on.
Oh, yes,
It's
yes.
actually in there, but yeah, he got that as a gift, and we've been using it since. Like, it's a really good portable drum thing.
Have you and your brother always, were you always together playing with the family, or did you guys ever do, just you and your brother ever do something together? Like, you have a
Privately, we
band?
did, but we usually were just part of the family band.
Okay.
And yeah, there was a brief moment where I was, of course I was part of the little bird band, but like towards the end, I decided to join one of the bands that my friend had. A couple of my friends. There was me, my friend, I'll call him K, my friend Eric, and my friend A. I'll call him A.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I was the drummer, of course. Eric played the guitar. Kiel also played guitar. That's his name. Yeah, yeah, that's his name, Kiel. And then A, I might as well. Antoine, that's his name. You don't know their last names; they don't exist. Anyway, he played keyboard, and we never got shows at all. We just jammed. And the reason we stopped is because Eric, he committed suicide. So like that was in 2009, and that just kind of like, a big wake up call. Like, we need to value our life and all that stuff. And like during that time, like, he was like my best friend. Like, he came in 5th grade, left this world in 7th grade.
Hmm.
So it was like a fire burst.
Yeah. You weren't
And
expecting that.
well, actually, I kind of was,
Oh,
because like we got so close that, like, we'd tell our deepest secrets and stuff. Oh,
okay.
he's here. Oh, yeah, anyway. So yeah, we tell deepest secrets and stuff, and he told me that very few people knew that he was like clinically depressed, and he has to take these pills every day and stuff. And like, you know I was one of the few people who knew it. And so when that happened, at first I thought someone else did it, because the way my brother told me, it was just like, I thought it was someone else. I was like, who did this? Like,
It was hard to believe or hard to accept?
yeah, both.
Both. Okay.
And then so yeah, I wanted comfort. So then my mom and my brother, like, I asked them what he said, because they would like translate for me, kind of like what Jamie does
Oh,
with channeling Eric.
yes, yes.
So many parallels in those two stories. But yeah. Anyway, so
Interesting.
that was one of my first experiences with like channeling on a personal level,
Yes.
because like I asked them, like, how can I hear him? There's like, you just have to like listen, like he'll talk to you. And I didn't believe it, because I was like, no, blah blah blah, I need to do all this. And so
So when you first heard him the first time, you weren't really prepared or ready for that, were you? When he crossed over in spirit?
well, no, I yeah, like this last year, like all the repressed feelings I had about the experience came up all like at once, took a little break, and then the rest of it came out. And so, like, I learned that I was holding so much inside about that experience, because like one of the messages he said through my mom was that to not be sad at all that it happened, because he's totally way happier in the place that he was is. And so yeah, the sadness that was in me wasn't the fact that I thought he was, struggling, and like he wanted his parents to know that he's not in hell and all that stuff, because they're like really Catholic, and he was like progressive Catholic. Like he included their ideas and elaborated on them and connected them in a way that like works for everyone. So I felt him and he liked that. So so anyway, so
that was then. And then
yeah.
your experiences with the instruments too. This is interesting. Going back to that, those instruments, the drumming. So your grandfather got you in that. And then what were the other instruments that came into your that you were interested in playing?
Well, since me and my brother were inseparable, like we stopped being inseparable last year because we're two different people now. But so since guitar was around all the time, my mom played guitar. She was a drummer, but she had guitars around the house. So like I would pluck the strings once in a while. And then my brother learned guitar, and like we would both talk about it, and I'd play around with it. And then after a while, I started playing it like, you know, I put myself in the guitarist box. So like I was, you know, playing around. I eventually wrote some songs. Well, I used to write songs, but I forgot them. They're not me anymore. Anyway, kind of going back to the idea, guitar is what brought me and Eric together pretty well. And so now whenever I play guitar, like I know he's around. He hangs around my music equipment. He likes when I make music. Like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, I made a song recently. It's called "Farewell, My Old Mind," and that's a dedication to him because that's it's all guitar. All of it is guitar.
Now you play electric or acoustic?
He played electric. He had a I think it was an Epiphone SG, might have been Gibson, but it was black. He was like really tall. Like, you know, he got the nickname Truck because his last name is, it sounds like it. I don't want to say it, but
for you, what instrument do you play? Do you prefer the electric or the acoustic?
depends what I'm playing.
Okay, so you play
because,
both.
Yeah, and kind of going along the storyline, I played guitar a lot, and then my brother found this one program. He's like, hey, like before we would play flash games where you could like, there's a step sequencer, you could like add certain drum loops and certain guitar riffs, and it was fun. I played with that a lot. And then he was like, hey, I found this one program. It's like legit. Like he didn't say that, but paraphrasing. And so we just played around with that a lot. And then like as we got more into it, it became like we both really got into it. FL Studio. And so like we started making beats. He made more hip hop. I made more atmospheric kind of beat stuff. We listened to Flying Lotus a lot, that artist, in like his 2008 era. And so that was towards the end of my guitar phase because like I ended up selling my guitar. But I knew enough about music through like the fretboard and playing drums that I could like go into it without sounding like a total noob. So yeah, so me and my brother started making music with the computer, and we each ended up having our own complete different styles. Like even looking back.
Yeah,
like,
your brother. So he went to, you said like rap and stuff.
Yeah, he's more hip hop centric.
Hip-hop, okay. And then with you, were you more like grounded with the earth, more the spiritual type essence of it, side of it, of music?
Not always.
No.
I actually, we both experimented with hardstyle and dubstep, but I'm the one who kept doing that. Like I really like the textures and energies of like dubstep and like certain dance drums.
Yeah, is the dubstep, is that more a little bit of techno? What we would call techno?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I was into like house. Like before I made music on a computer, I was like total metalhead. Like I, you know, played drums really fast with double bass, and like, you know, I was like, you know, I had the belief system of, you know, that music's not as good because it's not played by real instruments. So like I had that belief system. And so after I started opening up to music, after a few years, I became musically agnostic, meaning that I can listen to anything and I don't automatically like hate it. I don't hate very many things at all, if anything. But now I understand that it's resonance. Like we each have our own stuff that reflects us totally. And so if we hear it, we're like, oh wow, I really like this, because the word we're missing in that phrase, I really like this, is am. I am really like this. So that's why, when they say like, oh, I like this person, I like your hair, it's because like I am like that person. I am like your hair, the qualities of it. So that's what I've learned from it. Like if you're curious, the music genres I don't prefer are pop music, like the factory made like pop dance music. There I won't go into it. I could go on a lot, but
Okay,
uh,
moving. Where
yeah.
your junior high. So when you got into junior high, um, what was it? What other instrument? Was there any other instruments before we move that way? Other instruments. You had the guitar, you had the drums, the keyboard. When did the keyboard come into
When I
your
made music
backyards?
on the computer,
Huh?
learning like visualizing like the music, like there's a keyboard like section on there called the piano roll, and through that I learned how to play like music. I eventually moved it to real keyboards, and I just started playing like on the C major scale, and now I understand like key signatures a little bit, not as much as I used to, but yeah.
So the keyboard itself, did you nowadays do you move more toward the keyboard? Or are you still all three instruments?
I prefer keyboard for a tone for the ears because I know that the best. But I prefer drums for my body because I know that the best. It's like really exhilarating to play the drums when you don't have to worry about it.
Yes. Yes.
But with guitar, like I have to like figure out like what I'm doing, because like I can do like power chords, certain leads and stuff, but like
So it's,
tapping,
it's almost like there's more thinking to it, more
yeah,
involved
yeah,
in the guitar.
yeah. But that's me. Like the way I learn, I choose to like feel around and then look up stuff. Some people prefer the high school band type thing where like, okay, read this music. This is how you read music. Okay, now play it on the piano. Okay,
That's
now
another
that you know that.
question. Yeah, that's great. So when it comes to the choices, you hear it. You don't really read the music, do you? You can just hear it and kind of pick it up and play it.
Mhm. Yeah. My grandpa plays by ear, so he
Yeah.
taught us to play by ear. And so, like, I learned to read music so I can write music, because I know I'm gonna write some film scores, and that's gonna involve some notation.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Now moving into junior high, um, share with us if you want um, your interactions with other kids. Were you more sociable? Was it very you know what I mean? Did you shy away a lot? What was that like in school?
Okay, well, elementary school is a different story because that's when you get to be yourself more, and then middle school happens. And that tends to be the weirdest moment for most people, like the most awkward, most disconnected. Because like that was definitely my weirdest point in my life, because like I was so unsure of myself. In Well, before I moved to middle school, in elementary school with my friends, there are five of us in total. We had this during recess. We would play this game, this imaginary game called. Well, it was a story pretty much. We were acting out a story. It was called Five Castles, and um, pretty much we each made up our own character, we each had powers. We met up and we'd fight evil and go on crazy adventures through different concepts like virtual reality, other planets. There'd be like time travel involved. There's lots of like medieval style battle, but at the same time deep future kind of war stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, my guy, his name was Spectus Kaisakis. He was from a tribe that was not known, and his strength thing, well, his power was strength. Like he could lift up crazy things. He had this giant sword that weighed like a bunch of pounds.
It's really, really heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
he even had a symbol, and I'm gonna write it because like I'm starting to realize now that this is an important symbol for some reason. It was like this.
Wow. Yeah.
That was his symbol. And so yeah,
So
it was actually on his hands.
And when you guys are younger and just playing around imagining stuff, it's really cool how you can take that into your adulthood and say, look back on that and say, this is, just playing it, using your imagination. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, like looking back on so many moments in my childhood when I was just, it'd be like a summer day. It's like sunny out. There's dust in the room. I'm the only one in the house, and like you see the sun rays coming through the window. It's just so calm, peaceful. And I would imagine like I'm like in Super Mario, like there's this level where like there's a bunch of clouds, there's rainbows and like all this mechanical stuff. And like I would imagine I was in there and I was just playing with these like things, and like I was just jumping around, like just staring at like the light and just seeing the rainbows, clouds and everything. And looking back, like I was playing with my spirit guides, and like that's fun. Like,
Yes.
it brings back so many good memories, like good feelings too. And so yeah, that sense has been with me the whole time. It's just been diminished through different experiences.
Your spiritual growth, where who were those who influenced you at an early age into your early adulthood? Who are the ones that you could say, these are who, like, do you have like heroes, or those people that you look up to for inspiration for your spiritual growth?
My mom, she was the biggest influence on my spiritual life, definitely, because yeah, she was the one who took us to all these ceremonies. She was the one that told us like, oh, the spirit said I should do this. And sometimes it seems like she's totally joking, but like now I see that, like, yeah. And then yeah, my mom, biggest influence. Second biggest influence would be my brother, spiritually. They're actually kind of in the middle. They had different roles but same impact, because I've been with them my whole life. So then it'd be my grandpa, because like his first language is Hidatsa. English was his second language. So then my grandma, of course, like, wow. Like I can't even put words to how awesome she is.
Yes.
And
are both of your grandparents, are they still alive, or are they passed on?
Okay. Yeah. There's like this is kind of a recent development, but they're cutting out a lot of details. There's a heart scare kind of thing where like everyone just kind of realized, okay, we need to like have a good system set up, so in case like one of them has to go, like, we're still good, we're not tore apart and just...
Yes.
So, and it also was like, we need to focus on our health. We need to stop eating so much sugar, salt, fat. Like, it was just big wake up call for everyone. And so that was a good experience, even though at the time it was just really emotionally intense. And so yeah, all they have to do now is stop smoking, the habit they've been doing for like 50 years and just eat well, which is going pretty well. So they're doing very well. They have probably like at least 20 years, so I'm not worrying about it at all.
Your grandparents, were they a part of the band also at one point?
Well, funny you mentioned that. Before the Little Bird Band, like almost a decade before, we would have these things. We called them family performances because all of our family would be up there, and like my grandma played keyboard, my grandpa played the guitar, one of our family friends, he played the drums. Um, there's just intense stage lighting. There's like fog, the black lights, and like black lights look really cool on the native like regalia because of all the like, patterns on it, especially when you're dancing, like all the waviness of it. It's just so captivating. And so I grew up attending those. So yeah, everyone can sing. Yes.
Was your grandparents with you guys together with the band right before the scare, and then the band kind of just broke apart then?
Well, the band broke apart. Well, the family performances
Yes.
stopped happening before the Little Bird Band. I don't know when they stopped happening.
Okay.
But it's if it were to start up again, it wouldn't be the same because
Right.
he has new music. So yeah.
Okay. And now coming up to where you are, like the past, say, 4 or 5 years now.
High school.
Yes. Where has your taste for music, has it changed, and in your spiritual growth? I mean, how's that have affected you?
Okay. Well, in middle school, no. The transition between middle school and high school is when Eric passed.
Mm-hmm.
Freshman year, I did a certain thing based on certain information that my brother gave, and it's natural. And through that experience, I realized like I've been lied to about that. I'm being vague on purpose, and I was lied to that. And I was like, okay, what else am I being lied to? Because at the time I was forcing myself to be Christian because I thought it would make me a good person because that's all I wanted. And so,
was the rest of your family
no,
that okay?
Parts of it. I lived with my aunt for like a few years, and she was Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about now. I'm actually really not sure about that. Huh. Anyway, so after that, I just kind of reformed my belief systems like drastically, not only about like school and stuff, but like reality itself.
Yes.
And like, like I forgot what else.
Like your growth, and especially in the past 3 years, probably. What was the biggest transformation? Like what came through? What any dreams or visions? What sparked that transitioning?
Okay. All right. So, well, throughout high school, I was always like the quiet kid. People knew me as a kid who could draw. Even though I didn't go to talent shows, even though I could, I wouldn't have wanted to be a celebrity at the time. I'll just put it that way. And so, so I was pretty quiet throughout high school, had like a very close-knit group of friends, but people didn't hate me. Like I was friendly enough to be quiet and respected in a way. And so, I got like, oh, my battery. I'm gonna move location.
Okay.
But hopefully the audio will come through as I'm talking. But so, action shot. So, as I've was getting piled up and piled up with homework. I was getting stressed out because like me and my brother were really bad at school. Not because like we're dumb, but because homework is not something we resonate with. So like we just didn't do it. Didn't seem important at the time. So anyway, my mom suggested I leave high school on, it was before midterm of senior year is when I left. And so yeah, I had left school, and then December of 2014 is when I got my GED. I passed some of it with honors, which surprised me because I didn't study. But I studied a little bit. But anyway, after school was done, like so much freedom came. Like school is so imprisoning. And so like, well, for me anyway. And so after school, me and my brother ended up moving into town with a couple other people. And through that experience alone, like the feeling of independence, like separation temporarily of the family so we could get to know ourselves, it just really like shaped our character a lot. And like the people who we lived with helped them a lot too. And
How did mom handle it once you kind of left? Was it hard for mom to let go a little?
well, my brother actually moved out, and I ended up staying over at his place so much that I ended up moving in. So like, she was like, well, when are you gonna move back? I miss you. You both should just come back. We talked to her about our like rent problems. She'd be like, well, you can just live out here. Like, you don't have to pay certain things. But then we'd be like, but we have roommates, and we'd just like, screw them. So
right.
we chose to stay in town to learn those lessons more deeply. And so
now, how did your brother get along with you when you guys were roommates?
Pretty well. It was only towards the end that we realized that it was after we moved out that we just kind of like stopped being around each other all the time. Like it was a slow progression. That wasn't the moment it happened. Like,
yes,
that's when we both realized that like we're just gonna not. Actually, no, it was in high school is when it started. But after we moved out of that one place we lived, like we're just totally not interested in being around each other 24/7, which is understandable because that's how it was for the past like 15, 17 years. So yeah, and then we're both spiritual. We're both into certain subjects.
Yeah, that's another thing. Did like the stuff that you're becoming aware of, do you share that with him? Has it rubbed off on him, or has he rubbed off on you in a way that opened you up more? Yeah.
Yes, both. Because we grew up, like, as I mentioned earlier, we just argue. We don't fight, we argue. There are a couple times where we did kind of fight, but yeah.
It's never been over a woman though, has it?
No.
Okay.
Like, some might find this surprising, but I've only had one girlfriend, and that was for like 72 hours in middle school. So
now today, are you single?
Yes.
Just get a shout out to all the ladies out there.
You know what I look like. But yeah, I have my own views on that. Like, there's a reason I haven't been like searching for something like that. But anyway, to my brother,
yes.
Before we get off, but, with my brother, we grew up as our own like mind. Like, I would bounce an idea off and he'd have an opinion, and we'd just go back and forth, and together we'd learn like a really good version of what we're talking about. And so because of that, our vocabulary got really good. Like in middle school, we were like, man, we use so big words, like we should stop. And then we ended up not. We both got like, we allowed ourselves to be weird more in high school, especially for me. I was outgoing, crazy, woo kind of person. I was just always quiet, like just watching, talk to whenever people talk to me.
Are you guys very close in age then?
Yeah. His birthday is December 29th, 1994. Sorry, I'm burping. And my birthday is May 28th, 1996. And so it's like a year and a half ish.
Yes.
I've actually never measured because I don't care. But yeah. So nowadays, like we're both each other's kind of like spiritual teachers, but he's more of like personal human like empowerment. I'm more of like spiritual awareness and stuff. And like that comes through our music. Like he's all about like encoding information into his raps and his beats, and like without being straight up about it, he's showing like the light of the soul that can come through in any form it chooses to. And like he's so energetic. He has a buffalo spirit. His Indian name is Init Skumapi, which means buffalo boy or buffalo child, depending on which view you're looking at. So he has that child nature in him that's always strong. Sometimes it's not appropriate, but hey. But he's definitely on my list of top appreciated people, because like he is the sole reason I am the way I am today.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Helped me get out of my box, and then I helped you like kind of paint your box.
Now you're where you're at now, especially this past year. This has
Okay.
probably been. Tell me about this really big transformation, about the channeling.
All right, so when I lived at that one place with the roommates, the townhouse, no, it was a duplex, but I met one of the roommates I got really close to, and like we both like spiritually connected, and so like we had these deep conversations. It was like the most intense like gratitude I've ever had for another person in the moment. Like I think back to my brother, oh, I'm really glad for you, and then like he's next to me, I'm just like chilling. But like with this person, it's just like, oh my god, like I kind of view you as a goddess. Like I'll do whatever as long as it's in a good way.
Right.
And so that taught me how to like get in touch both with my feminine energy and to deal with feminine energy, and also empowerment, and certain other things I don't want to go into right now because it's kind of personal, but so that helped me a lot. And then trying to think what happened because like yeah.
Did you have a vision or anything, or was it a dream or something that really got you looking even online for guidance, like on YouTube videos or something? What sparked you toward this direction, toward channeling in general?
Okay, it wasn't a dream. It was a series of videos, because I was really into time travel and science fiction, and so like I've ended up finding Andrew D. Bishago, who was a part of some government projects. And then through that, I learned about Al Bielek, who time traveled to the future to 2170 something, and then 2740 something, like way up, way far. And like it was so fascinating because like I could tell, I knew that he was legit. So so I listened to his accounts. He's like scientist level, so he's like really good with articulating his memories. And so anyway, he talked about in the deep future that they run certain cities with computers that are conscious, and those that made the computers, they called themselves the wing makers. And so he talked about, oh yeah, they have information in this century even. And then I was like, he talked about like how they're like kind of like the religion of the future, but he's like, no, it's not really a religion, if you could call it that. So I was like, well, I'm in the agnostic period right now. It'd be fun to be a part of a future religion. And then like by the time everyone gets there, you're like, I fully really know this. That was my attitude towards it. So I ended up finding their website about the wing makers, and it resonated so much, and like just I got almost obsessed with all the material for a while, and like because of that material, I understood so many things about myself and the universe and the big picture, and like it inspired me a lot to do what I do now, which is going to involve novels, albums, like music and pictures, and other media that you guys will find out.
Cool.
And so, yeah, that's what highly, highly, highly inspired me to do that. Like, it's just really crazy how much I really like the Wingmakers. But so that's what really got me into it. And then through the Wingmakers, I ended up on this. I don't know where this road went to, but I eventually looked up. I found out about Simon Parkes. He's like a British counselor guy who interacts with ETs a lot, and he has like a bunch of cool stuff with him. He's his family was part of the Illuminati. They're part of magic. They're very influential people, and like he is so authentic. Like I can tell just by like seeing him, listening to him, like so authentic. And so found out about him, learned more about like aliens, multidimensional beings. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Then on the sidebar, I saw a video. I was like, interview with Small Gray Part 1, and it was this lady who had like, she was channeling it. So I was like, I'll check that out at some point. But there are these videos I want to watch first. And then it popped up again later on, and I was like, yeah.
Yes. Was that a big stretch for you from going from, okay, how you were raised and then them mentioning extraterrestrials? Was it easy to accept?
Yes, because I've seen ships in my childhood.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. So like I was always open to the idea, and like I would always look at the stars hoping to see something, and then I would sometimes. So it was just irrefutable to me that they exist. So anyway, I had ended up looking at the video, the interview with the Gray, and there's these two ladies talking on Skype, and there was a third person, but like only one of them was talking to it, and I was like, is that like a director guy or something? And then I learned more about like what that channel was about. I learned more what the whole YouTube channel was about, and for those who don't know, it's Channeling Eric with a K at the end. And I learned about that, and that accelerated me even more because it wasn't through the science lens like Wingmakers was. It was more through the practical, like,
Day-to-day.
Yeah. I wouldn't say mundane. I'd say relatable. And so I got really into that, and then I played with the idea, like, I feel like I could do that too. Like I ended up finding Bashar and Treb.
Yes.
And so I was watching that, and I was like, I really resonate with this. I feel like I could say certain stuff like this. I think someday I'd like to become a channeler like that. And so like
and this was about a year ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I was really into channeling Eric. I had joined a Facebook group, Ended up joining another Facebook group about mediums, and then like I was part of this big community, and yeah, that's when I opened up to the idea of channeling. I was like, okay, I want to join channeling. I want to be a channeler because I want to talk to my deceased friends like Eric and excuse me.
Your friend Eric.
Yeah, my friend Eric with a C.
Okay.
And then one of my other friends named Brady. He has a really tragic story. It involves government cover-ups. So like, good for him. Like I knew he probably would have liked that. Like all the impact he's doing. Like
Yes. Behind the
you know,
scenes.
he's changing the way South Dakota is viewed through its like what it does, because that none of the news is covering his story. They did once after it happened, but they didn't cover like the actual fact that they put all the hospital bills on his mom and this big conspiracy and blah blah blah. That's not the energy of this conversation. So I wanted to contact both of them because then I'll be open to the spirit world and I'll be able. I always grew up wanting to see spirits. I asked my mom like, why can you see spirits? She's like, well, I saw them since I was like a teenager. I was like, I want to see spirits.
So her third eye was always really open. She was
Yeah,
always,
yeah.
yeah.
We share the same birthday actually. She's 30 years older than I am. So we have so many parallels. Like she like sees my room. She's like, that's exactly how I was in the boarding school. And it was just like, she said she got really into spiritual stuff around my age.
Yes.
So that's like really cool. But it's different for me for many, many reasons.
So the wing makers really started inspiring you.
Yeah.
And then moving up to this past year, and even the past 6 months, what the channeling. Take us into that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
like how were you introduced to that? I mean, the ones that are coming that you're connecting with.
Okay, so so in the channeling Eric group, I met someone. His name is JC Ariel, and he's fairly familiar with a lot of people. And he's this psychic dude. He's like really cool, and like I got a reading from him, and in that reading, he mentioned that lots of entities want to work with me, lots of entities want to work through me, and then that phrase just kind of stuck in my mind. I'm like, huh, that makes sense because I do love myself and I do like want to speak truth, and so like as as I was pondering that, JC added me to 2 Google Plus groups, and one of them was a human colony chat, and one of them was Ivan Teller Welcome Center, and through that I met a bunch of amazing people, including some guy, what's his name, Brian Sims. Yeah, he's really cool. He has this awesome like hat stuff. It's also named Brian. Yeah. But yeah, I met these awesome people through Human Colony. JC brought me, and I just kind of, since I started hanging out on Google Plus, like I left Facebook pretty much. Like I go there for like to check up on people, post the occasional status, like family stuff. But now I'm mostly on Google Plus because it's not as stressful. Because I got people added me to so many groups on Facebook that I just one day I left my computer alone. I had like 35 notifications. I was like, the most I've got without being in groups was like 11. So like, that's just so much. So yeah, I ended up meeting a bunch of really awesome people in these groups, and because of that, I got the confidence and self growth to start channeling.
What was it that you love about these groups? What do you appreciate about them? What is it about them that you find that moves you?
I would say the concept, because, you know, I noticed a lot of people, they keep their spiritual side secret. So what these groups do is it allows you to express fully what you are, so that people can help you grow based on that. And like, you know, it's become family to a lot of people. Like there's some people who are more friends, there's some who are more acquaintances, and then some are just totally like family because of past life connections and future life connections. Don't forget those. But so what I really like is the openness. Like if you're like shy, people like encourage you to get out of your box and like talk because they like you. So it's like really reassuring for people who are working on their self-esteem. They're yellow and they're blue. So that's what helped me. Those are my two weakest ones throughout my life. So yeah, these groups were very therapeutic to my growth.
That's wonderful. It's just, yeah, for me, it was like that too. I was just finding something that I could resonate with. This is definitely a place. Definitely a place that it just feels non-judgmental. You know, you really feel that the camaraderie, like a extended family. That's how I like to look at it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it through this group, I gained the confidence to like, you know, channel because during like when my family was going through that hard time with my grandpa, every time I'd wake up, I felt like I was leaving a conversation with someone, something, and it wasn't like another person. It was like this blue thing, this blue entity that was like really wise. He had like yellow somewhere, and so like I learned later on that through my reading with JC, I have a connection with blue avians, and that was interesting to me because from what I've read, that blue avians were made up mind control, like to really sum it down. So it was like interesting. So like I opened up to blue avians. I started meditating more. After like 40 minutes of centering myself, I would allow myself to channel a blue avian friend. Like I knew one was around, so I was like, okay, just, you know, talk through me, get, you know, used to me, I'll get used to you. And
did this take weeks or months that you started really developing a relationship with some being that you felt, and then when he introduced, or she, whatever this entity is, it feel like more masculine, more feminine, or?
Well, it's masculine.
Yes.
But as for the relationship, what I get from it is that he's been around my whole life, but just recently now it's finally the time to open up and connect. So around that post 888, post Lionsgate, I'll just call it that. Post Lionsgate, I think that's when we started really discussing the channeling that I would later do of him. And so after the reading, like, yeah, I was just aware that one was around me. So I was like, okay, I want to get to know this part of myself. Just gonna let it through. And then so I told JC after, like, I didn't record it obviously because it was my first time and it was really quiet. I was whispering. He was just telling me to like breathe, you know, it's your own spiritual whatever. Yeah, anyway. So I told JC about that, and then he said that in the dream state that night, he and Ra would come into my dream and help me with my connection with the avians. And like before I was falling asleep, like the way I see spirits, it's like this developed like 2 years ago. But you know when like you're outside on a sunny day, like the sun reflects off of a car like into your face, and like you're looking in one direction, you turn and it's still in your eye whenever you open or close your eye. Yes. Like that is how it is, except there's like little tiny points of light.
Is it like a starburst effect?
Not really.
No, okay.
Sometimes, but it depends on what is being shown. But So anyway, I always saw a blue one, like a deep blue one. And I read that those are my guides. But there's a specific one that's a little darker, a little more oval. Like they're usually like kind of like sphere-ish, kind of blobby.
Yes.
But that one was kind of ovalish, deep blue. And so yeah, as I was falling asleep that night when JC told me that, I saw like a bunch of these like flashes. There was like one that flashed right in front of my face as I was like closing my eyes. I was like, "Whoa, that's awesome! I know you're here." And so I fell asleep, and like it was a strange sleep experience, like so restful. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like still in the dream state when I woke up. I was just not. I wasn't like not in this reality, but I was in a higher version of this reality. And so like I saw JC in his like white tank top in there. It was like this orangish kind of room with torches. Anyway, then I woke up and I was like, that's awesome. And so like the week after that, I think I decided to start. I spoke galactic languages like a few weeks before. Like I learned how to do that. And so I thought of this idea to channel songs with those galactic languages.
Was it the languages itself? Was it new to you, or have you heard of that through your through the past? You know, for the past years.
No, I discovered galactic languages this year. So like, you know, I would hear about the Pleiadians and stuff, and I'd look up how do they talk? Like, what do they sound like if one came up to me and told words to me? So I looked it up, and it was like a Hucolo like compilation video of different languages. You were in some of them, but
Okay.
yeah. So like I was listening to that, and that was like really cool. And so like weeks after that, I went into one of these hangouts, and I met like Wendy, Sabrina. They're the ones who are really good at talking those languages. And, you know, we discussed like, you know, yeah, you just need to let it through. It'll come to you eventually. And I was like, okay,
Did
well,
you practice a little bit too?
no.
Okay.
The way it came through, Will's Holy Fire Hangouts. I was going through the Holy Fire experience, and it was my first one actually. And as I was, you know, doing it, towards the end, I spoke a language. Like I decided, okay, I'm in this state. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it, and I did.
Nice.
And my mouth was so tingly, and like it was so cool. And so then after that, I just kind of ended up practicing and practicing. Then it was spoken word that was, you know, fluent enough to be considered understandable. And then I started singing with it, and then that's how it used to be when I connected with the avian. I used to sing for a while, and then I just rest for a bit, and then, you know, they'd talk. But after that dream, after the upgrade that I got from Ra and JC, now it only takes like 3 minutes. Like in my dream, they taught me about, well, they helped me relearn what I already taught myself of, you know, I work with tones. So what I do is I straighten out my back, get my spine all flowy, and then like I hum a tone, which is about right in my yellow area. Like I feel where the tone is.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, once you find the yellow frequency, you start with a and then you like move into like a like a NG. You like just do a bunch of crazy loops, and like I always imagine like I'm vibrating my whole body, and when I'm doing the closed mouth lowest, that's my root, and I just pretend I'm visualizing as I move my vowels. I go up, move up and down, just vibrate those if they need it. And it usually takes three breaths to do lower section, and then heart to like throat, there.
And so
And then
you're working with the chakras.
yeah. So yeah, and then in the third one, it's crown to like here. So like I work from body to like top of the head.
Wow.
That after a while, I just breathe for a bit, and then I trust that whatever comes through is Ardos. That's his name. And I only knew the name because while I was channeling him for the first time in front of people, someone asked, "Well, what's your name?" And I was like, "The name that's coming through, Ardos, Ardos."
Yeah.
And then then like he had me say it a couple times, Ardos, Ardos. So I was like, yes, we'll go with Ardos, for we don't have real names or something like that. So yeah, that's when like I really connected with Ardos, because then after that I kind of still do it every day. Like whenever I'm on these hangouts, I'm like, so who wants to talk to Ardos? And then people are like, yeah, sure. And then I go into the state, and then we talk.
That's wonderful, because it helps that connection to get stronger and stronger. I've realized it with the channelers. I realized that it's so beautiful that it's like the more you practice, the more they get used to your body, to the energy.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing that during my first channeling of him, he was like, if you wish, we can help you with your timeline to facilitate your acceleration or something like that. And I was like, yes. And he was like, all right, well, it's done. And so since then, I've been on this crazy acceleration path where, like, even Neil commented, like, you're accelerating so fast, like, it's cool. And like, I thought I would be doing this a month from when I started instead of like a week.
Wow.
So like it's so crazy. Like, it doesn't seem real to me. I don't watch my videos back. I did once, and I prefer not to.
Right.
Because it helps getting into the state, not seeing yourself externally.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm.
Interesting. Do you feel that presence around you all the time, or does it just come and go when you call it?
All the time, because what I learned is that Ardos is one of my incarnations. We share the same soul. We're the same thing, just different bodies, different perspectives, different lifetimes.
Nice.
And so throughout my life, he's been helping me merge my frequency with his, whatever aspects I choose. And now I'm choosing so many aspects because I know so much about his aspects now. But the blue avians are shapeshifters, so I'm getting to know his like familiar bird form, but there's also another aspect that's more warrior-like, like really blue and red at the same time, like really grounded, like, come on, let's come together and take out the system or something like that. I don't know, but that's gonna come out soon.
Are there any others in the wing, or is it mostly you're going to work with so far that you know of with this one that you're working with now?
So far it's mainly Ardos, because that's me. I have channeled my higher self like 3 times, and I channeled Eric from channeling Eric once.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna stick with those 3 for now until I'm more comfortable bringing through a gray Pleiadian and a Syrian. Others that'll come through.
Yes. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do they? Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, no, I want you to go ahead.
Okay. Well, Ardos is around, and I think it'd be pretty cool if, like, I showed the viewers what it's like. I've been talking about it, but, talking only does so much. When you do things, it makes a difference.
Sure.
Little proverb for everyone.
Before you bring him through, describe what you're doing and how you do it to get into that state. What will you be doing? What will the viewer see?
Okay. So my process is I get into the mindset, I ask people, do you want to talk to Ardos? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so you're not going to talk to Sheldon anymore. So I'm going to take myself out of the equation. Just going to sit here, stretch out my back, especially. That's the important part. Take like 2 or 3 really deep breaths. I do this hand shape and like the opening in the middle that goes around my yellow because that amplifies it. That's what I was taught. So yeah, just deep breaths. I find the tone. I do the vowel work. Then I do some breathing. And then whenever Ardos comes through, he kind of leans forward, twitches his head a little bit like a bird. I'm working on doing more bird movements because that'll help him come through. So that's pretty much my process going in. Going out, he says we could probably take like 1 or 2 questions. He's coming back. So then he says a goodbye message, and then what he does is he sings a song that grounds me, and when I'm done with the song, I'm back. Like I'm never truly gone, but like, you know, I allow myself to be Sheldon again.
Cool.
So yeah, I hear everything.
Yes, that's wonderful. If you want to bring him through for a little bit, yes, we'd love to have him.
Yes. Thank you for what you're doing, Brian, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, let me take these off. Hello, Brian and viewers. How are you all?
Great, great. Yes, this is being recorded live, so
yes,
it's an honor to meet you. Yes.
Yes, it's lovely to be a part of this.
How do you say your name one more time?
Ardos.
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 Ardos. Nice to meet you, Ardos.
Yes, nice to meet you again. I've met you before, but not in this incarnation. But I have met you in the Sheldon body, and therefore we know each other pretty well.
Wow, that's nice. What would you like to share with the viewers?
Well, I'd like to say that not all the avians are involved with the Sphere Alliance. The reason that attention may come to my conduit and his work with me is that you want clarity on the so-called government conspiracies, the hidden projects, the space politics. But I must inform you that I am not as much involved with those projects. I am more involved with the spiritual development of the individual, the growth, and I promote yourself raising your vibration, because this is the only way that as a collective we can defend ourselves from these negative frequencies, because they are just frequencies.
Yes, yes. It seems like when we start to see things as just more as energy flow, it's maybe it's easier to deal with than trying to get too wrapped up in the mind about it.
Yes, Tesla has said the same thing before. Tesla was a very potent messenger for the future of humanity.
Would you like to share anything about your connections with other alliances or groups that you as a civilization work with here in the local universe?
We are part of many programs that are not involved with Earth specifically, but we are very connected with Earth. We have been humanity's friend for quite a long time. In your text lingo, you could say we're BFFs. I hope that made some of you ROFL, coming from a channeled entity such as I. But we are your very good friends, and we are coming back at this time to remind you that your depictions of bird-like beings in the history, in the records, a lot of that is us. There's more than one type of avian entity or civilization species group.
Yes.
And so the blue ones, we shapeshift. Many other avians shapeshift. We prefer the form of a blue jay in your 3D physical reality.
That's the image I got. That's so ironic. I
Yes.
Just before, maybe a couple minutes back, I thought of the blue jays, like, just flashed into my mind. So that's very interesting.
Yes. We were getting you ready.
That's beautiful.
But yes.
Are you connected closely with the Octurians?
Yes, we're all connected, but in forms of interaction, I'm downloading information to this conduit. That's why I pause a lot.
Yes.
One moment. He's kind of disconnecting. Okay, yes, we are involved with the Arcturians as we are with the Pleiadians and the Syrians. We observe your Dracos, your Lizzies. We appreciate their frequency for what it is, but we do not interfere with their agendas. There are those of us who wish we could, but it is an understanding from the fifth dimensional plane. We prefer to reside in the fifth dimension, for if you mark all the dimensions, or number the color spectrum, 1 being red, 2 being orange, and so forth. Number 5 would be blue. And there is the blue color that we are reflecting to everyone.
Wow.
We prefer the fifth dimension energies because it is most resonant with who we are. But we are multidimensional. We can travel up and down based on what our intentions are. And my intentions right now are to connect through the light body of this one to give a message to the collective through this means of communication, this archive. You are all viewing the past in a sense, but do you know that I am present. We are all present. Time is a construct made to show a progression, and it is a form of tone. So a lesson I'd like to give briefly is that there's light. Skipping steps, you can have music, sound. And talking about music, tone is close to light. It is a consistent vibration onward. But then you get to rhythm. And people don't see rhythm as a frequency, as tone. They see it as something completely different. But I'm here to inform you that, yes, it is tone. It is, think of it as a slowed down tone, a very low frequency oscillation that creates overrides during each peak. And
The wave.
yes, and so as the wave reaches the top and bottom of your oscilloscope visualization, um, that's what you hear. But it is all tones, very deep tones. And so rhythm and bass and all that is tones, just tones. And so as you move downward, you get to the construct of your physical 3D reality, which
It becomes denser and denser, it seems like.
yes, but the concept is it gets slower and slower.
I see.
Density is a product of slow vibration, and so
Like our
you get
molecules. Yes, the particles, the molecules within our bodies in a third dimensional form. Um, as we move up in vibration, but say those on the fifth dimension, are the molecules slightly spread out farther out where they're lighter?
this is a complex visualization, but what I will tell you is that the whole universe is made up of one particle. And this particle manifests itself into so many infinite facets that we think it's a bunch of atoms next to each other, when really it's just one particle creating aspects of one atom multiple infinite times to create a lattice of resonant frequencies that create physical reality or matter.
Yes.
And so back to the illustration of tones descending. Physical matter is below rhythm. So physical matter, what makes an object that vibrates fast in relative to space. Space is below, it's a slower vibration than matter. But they are very linked, so it's not a very wide difference. It's in the perception.
Yes.
And so, because matter, energy, space, and time are linked so much, it goes energy, matter, space, time. Time is the lowest frequency you can experience. So the progression of moving through static realities to create the illusion of movement, that is frequencies. And it is below the audible range, so we don't see it as frequencies. We see frequencies as things we can hear,
Yes.
and then things we can see.
So as we move up in vibration, we start to actually see with a different pair of eyes. We get to feel and see maybe the wind.
Yes.
Or the light spectrum slightly, it's different. It's, yeah, the waves. We start to see the wavelengths.
Yes. Another thing with tone, your scientists have explained this in some detail, but I shall explain white light. And so all light spectrums are shown in white light, because when you see a red color, you see all the light spectrums but the red wavelength. So you perceive the red wavelength. And so as you move up, the highest you can see is a shade of violet white, I believe. Yes. And so after that, imagine a straight line, and there's a dip on whatever frequency you see. The bottom is where you can see.
Yes.
And so all light is present, but it focuses into a point where it's absent, and you see the difference. And so as you move different colors, it
shows the differences. Yeah.
Yes, it shows a difference. So when it goes out of the range of your square that you can see,
yes,
it appears as white light or black light, because the peak, the inverse peak that is shown, is not in your visible spectrum, so it appears as black or white.
Ah, now I understand.
Yes, so there are colors that exist definitely in different wavelengths, but they appear to you as white. So that is what is seen as the highest vibrational color in your 3D physical reality.
I understand now. Thank you. That's
Yes.
beautiful. Nice
And
illustration.
thank you. That is also thanks to Sheldon, because that is something he works with in his musical production, except with sound. It is called a notch filter. But elaborating more on the white, it is the heart of all colors, meaning it is a portal. It's a network of portals that lead to the center of our source. So if you imagine, your heart is like the core of the earth. The core of the earth is like the sun. The core of the sun is like the central sun of the galaxy. The central sun of the galaxy is like the central universe. Central universe, or the center of our universe, central galaxy. It's a portal into the central universe, which is the sum of all the consciousness in all 7 realities, all 7 main universes in our source. But do you know that there are multiple sources that are brothers and sisters, and I shall not go into how they were created, but they are all still connected. Just because they have different structures does not mean that they are completely separate. So
Right.
when you talk about source, you're talking about our source, but when you talk about all that is, you talk about all that is. And so white is the portal to the center, the most divine color. And that is the lesson that I wish to give.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Yes, thank you for listening and giving this presentation. But yes, my connection is waning a bit. But if you have any other questions, I am willing to answer them.
No, I just want to say I thank you. It's really beautiful that you can work with Shelton like this. More connectiveness, more intimate in a way that he's allowing you to come through more and more. It's really beautiful, and this will help so many people and give hope to so many people, and the breaking down barriers and moving beyond the veil. So thank you so much for really coming through and sharing with us different perspectives. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being aware of what is going on. And thank you for expressing that without fear of taking too long, of taking up others' time, of giving out irrelevant, not needed information. Because all information is needed. All information does not belong to anyone. It is a construct of the universe itself. We are all information. And when we bring through information, it's just more information being brought to our awareness. And so, with that message, I shall depart through this body, but do know that I'm always around. And if you wish to discuss things with me in greater depth, this video brings my frequency through decently. So, if you wish to connect with me more, I'd recommend you find Sheldon on Google+, and we talk a lot. And I also visit in astral states or dream states if you wish. Just call me out. Not in that sense. Call for me. There we go.
Yes.
And I shall come if it is my choice. It is usually my choice if your intentions are for your own spiritual development or clarity on some of your confusion. I work well with balance and self-empowerment. So I thank you for your time all, and I look forward to our next connection. Namaste, much love, Midake Yasin. And so I shall leave you now with this song that will ground the conduit, and you shall be back to have some comments. So thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
De ne ta ni ka he ta ne ki na he na upe na te na hue. I ka nei tāna ki e au e au e au e au. Oh, hi.
Hello. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for bringing them through.
Yeah, thank you.
It's awesome, bro.
I really like connecting with him because like makes me doubt myself less and
Yes.
all that stuff.
That was really beautiful. Really, really good.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers, also.
Yes.
Like I can't express my gratitude enough. Like I really appreciate what you guys are all doing for everything. Even if you think it's nothing. Like even when you breathe, you're changing the way the air moves, and like you could create like a rain in like 100 years for like a drought, and that could save so many lives. And I guess if you want to think of it too, you could create a hurricane, but those are beneficial too. So, but yeah, thanks everyone.
How may the viewers get a hold of you? Just find you on Google Plus?
Yeah, on Google Plus, my name's Sheldon Bird. I also have a SoundCloud where I post my music. My name there is The Aphorist. So yeah, I have like two alter egos, the one with human personality and one that's just straight up energy.
Yes.
So yeah, Google Plus and SoundCloud. Yeah, I'd prefer you don't go to my Facebook. That's personal, unless I know you and we meet through Google Plus or something. But I am looking forward to further connections because I like connecting with people. I like helping people with their own power or lack thereof.
Right. Thank you so much, Sheldon, for your time.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity. This was great.
All right. We'll wrap this up. Thank you, viewers.
Yes. Thank you.